Brother lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Kai Havertz is doing his Arsenal makers as we reported this weekend. He's having his medicals today, and of course, he will be announced as an Arsenal player early on Monday. We are going to be diving into that story as well. We are structuring the final details of the structure on that bid to West Ham for Declan Rice. It is expected to go in later today or earlier, tomorrow. We'll be diving into that as well. Milinkovic-Savic has been an option for us now if we didn't get Declan Rice, but it looks like Sarge will be going to Juventus. I mean, that's a very interesting one that we will talk about. Guendouzi is a potential replacement for Declan Rice at West Ham, and Arsenal could get up to 10 million on a sell-on clause in that deal. And finally, Fulham have also come in to sign Eddie Nketiah. Hit the like button for me, subscribe to the podcast as well. Positive hours ahead of us in terms of Arsenal moving for their targets. We're having a medical, we're having a structure of a bid that is being finalized, and we're also having a potential looming announcement early next week. Let's get this video to 500 likes. In the comment box below, what do you think about Sarge Milinkovic-Savic? If we didn't get Declan Rice, what would have you have thought of the last year's keeper Sarge Milinkovic-Savic? A little bit older, like 28, I think now 29. The Serbian maestro is such a huge central midfielder, like scores a lot of goals, creates a lot of chances. It would be a much better player in terms of creating that goal threat than Declan Rice. But of course, Arsenal did look at him. Looks like he will be going to Juventus after all. Right, so let's dive into it. First and foremost, Kai Havertz, like we reported a couple of days ago, Kai Havertz is doing his medicals from overseas today, and Arsenal will announce him as an Arsenal player on Monday. He has already chosen his shirt number 29. Absolutely boring, but there is nothing to do about that. Listen, the reason as to why he has not done his medicals in the UK, it is because of the player's schedule, depending on the way you pronounce it. So Arsenal have decided to go to him to get his medicals done rather than him coming to London and Arsenal. Now we expect him to either arrive at Arsenal on Monday or somewhere between next week. I don't want to commit to the fact that Arsenal are going to announce him early, because we know Arsenal with announcements. Like, if they could hire me to start doing their videos on announcing players, we could be announcing players before they are signed. But to be honest, the guy doing the videos and the media really takes his time, but they're always good as well. But so Kai Havertz is doing his medicals. First part, we believe, is being done today. He could complete them tomorrow, because at times there is a first part and a second part. I didn't know that. It was only until recently that Fabrizio Romano was reporting that Gabriel Jesus did his first part of medicals and second part on the other day, that I realized that a player always has two sets of medicals. So we believe and we understand that Kai Havertz is having his medicals for Arsenal. This is taking place, abroad. I cannot even confirm the country, to be honest. But at least more information when these ones are done, we will be telling you. He's gonna be an Arsenal player. A deal is already agreed with Chelsea in principle, 65.7 million pounds. That is the total package. Arsenal will pay around 55 in guaranteed, and of course more in add-ons on that one. So Kai Havertz seems like he's gonna be Arsenal's, not gonna be, but he is Arsenal's first signing. Whether Arsenal work very, very quickly to get the Declan Rice deal done and announce Declan Rice before we can announce Kai Havertz, or even announce them in the same week, that remains to be seen. But next week, still next week, I think that there is going to be something very, very huge when it comes to announcements. I do expect a breakthrough in the Julian Timber deal, and I also do expect a breakthrough in the Declan Rice deal. Now that he's turned down a giant like Manchester City, West Ham don't have any reason to keep on wasting time. They don't have any reason to keep on, stalling. They now know the player wants to go to Arsenal, whether City come in with a lot of money or not. As long as Arsenal have a favorable bid, they will be accepting that. And talking about Manchester City, West Ham and Arsenal, like I reported in my recent video, the player's preference has been decided and his final decision has been communicated. However, before we get into that, I've just remembered something from Simon Jordan on TalkSport, and this guy, I just love him, so much. Someone said that West Ham could be trying to create a fuss into this saga, well knowing that Arsenal are the only Premier League club seriously interested in Declan Rice. And because Arsenal are the only club seriously interested in Declan Rice, West Ham's David Sullivan knows that he's never going to get the amount of money he should have ripped off, he should have got if United, Chelsea, and Manchester City created a bidding war. And it's absolutely right, because now they're trying to push Arsenal into an early bid. They're trying to push Arsenal into going in with another bid. They're afraid that Arsenal's last bid or most recent bid could be our last one. Now, I will confirm this from Fabrizio Romano. Our last bid, which was our second bid, is not the last one. We've already communicated to West Ham that we will go back with another bid, which will be the final one. So West Ham are bracing themselves for that one, and they are waiting eagerly and patiently. Now, Arsenal, more of the information on that one. Arsenal finalizing on the details and on the structure of the bid. They're trying to make sure that this time it doesn't look ridiculous, it doesn't look embarrassing, and it doesn't look very, very poor. So initially, I think it was Damesh Sheth on Sky Sports who reported that one of the sources around West Ham said that the way the deal was structured was the initial bid was structured was absolutely embarrassing. I think that is what Arsenal are trying to do here, to avoid such scenarios, right? We're trying to go back maybe with a 95 million deal, maybe with a 90 million bid without even raising the fee. We're trying to do that, but this time to make sure that West Ham have something to be grateful for to see us again. It is also very, very disrespectful, and I said this in my first video when we had our bid turned down. It is also very disrespectful when you go in with a team, you are locked in talks with them for 6 months, and then your bid doesn't reflect what has been going on in the negotiations. Now, of course, it is always that opening kick to the door, that opening kick to to introduce you on the negotiation table, but it should at least fairly reflect the position of your negotiation partners, and then fairly reflect your position as well. I think our initial bid, and probably our second bid as well. No, I think our second bid really did reflect the ambitions of West Ham. That is, we want something close to 100 million, or if not at least 100 million. And then the structure, this is what we want. So, but our first bid was purely selfish. It was purely Arsenal going, this is what we have thought of. How do you see it? And West Ham said, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. We can never agree to something like this. And Arsenal said, okay, we made a big mistake and we made a big fuss out of this one. So Arsenal are trying to work on the structure of the final bid to West Ham. We know it is a do or die. We want the player. Like, we are bossing around. Like, we are telling West Ham, this is our last bid. If you don't accept this, we are going to walk away. But of course, Mikel Arteta is not going to be very happy if Edu goes back into London Colney and tells him, you know what, the guys just refused the bid. And Mikel says, why? Because I told them I was going to pay this bid over 10 years. And Mikel would be like, why would you do that? Okay, so it's a very interesting situation to see how it's going to develop. How much money will Arsenal pay up front? How much money will Arsenal put in guaranteed payments? How much money will Arsenal put in add-ons? How much money are we willing to pay in each installment? And how many installments are we actually going to pay the fee? It's all in the discussed structure. So let's wait and see if some good work and some good job will be done. I mean, the two jobs we've done before have been absolutely horrendous. If West Ham feel like the third bid is good, we might have a reason to celebrate earlier or later next week. And I promise I won't do Rice signing this week in the next week. I won't, right? So Arsenal have received interest from Fulham to sign Eddie Nketiah. They're just among a pool of Premier League clubs that are interested in signing Eddie and his services. I do not know of a Premier League side that did not finish in the top 6 that do not need Eddie Nketiah. Like, I don't know. And I say this respectively, including Chelsea. Eddie Nketiah is a much better player right now than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he would be a much better footballer for Chelsea's Mauricio Pochettino, for Mauricio Pochettino's Chelsea than Romelu Lukaku, right? Now, I understand Chelsea fans will feel a little bit disrespected, but I'll tell you what. If Chelsea signed Eddie Nketiah, he would score them 20 goals a campaign. Probably not the next season, but the season after that. He would score them 20 goals a campaign. If you've been using Havertz out of position, desperately trying to milk all the goals out of him, and he's already shown you he's good in playing that position, but it would be better if there was another striker that would allow him, make those runs off the ball. And Chelsea have gone, you are a striker. We paid 90 million for you. You've got to give us the goals, so play there. So for me, Eddie Nketiah, to Chelsea would be a very, very good shot. But Fulham are the club interested, and I'm not really surprised that Fulham are interested, because you look at the transfer business they've done in the last few transfer summers ever since they were promoted last season. They've been absolutely spot on. Willian, that's a very, very good signing. Maina Solomon, that's a very, very good signing. Joe Palhinha, that's a very, very good signing. And if you add Eddie Nketiah to that attacking force of Willian, Maina Solomon, you have the likes of Palhinha, and then Mitrovic. Wow. I mean, this goes without noticing, but Fulham, one of the reasons why actually I think finished among the top teams in the Premier League, it is their average age. The maturity in that side is absolutely phenomenal. The decision to go down to Brazil and sign Willian and make him, and then he became their player of the season. I mean, Palhinha had a very, very good season, didn't he? But to be honest, Willian had a fantastic season for them. Okay, so you have Willian, who's 33. You have Mitrovic, who's maybe 29, 30 as well. So I just think Eddie Nketiah would easily, smoothly sit into that team, and he would score goals for fun. I'm not saying he would score goals because Mitrovic is scoring the goals for Fulham, but I just think even if they decided to play a 4-4-2 with Eddie Nketiah and Mitrovic, if you wanted a good replacement for Mitrovic, you look no further than Eddie Nketiah. Now, Nketiah's XG at times is disappointing, missing chances that he should be putting away as a striker. But I think the pressure Arsenal put on Eddie Nketiah when he's on the pitch is very different from the pressure that Fulham will put on him while he is on the pitch. And apart from those days when it is really, really crucial and the club is trying not to get relegated, desperately hanging on to their future by a thread, apart from those days, I think Eddie would be a very, very great shot. Now, if they lose Joe Palhinha, maybe things change, because they need their priorities would change to replacing Joe Palhinha. But if they keep Palhinha and they keep, I think the boy is called Reed as well, and then they keep Mitrovic, they keep Maina Solomon, and they keep Willian, Eddie Nketiah would be such a glorious, sumptuous addition to that side. He would be a very, very good player for them. But anyway, let's wait and see what is going to happen out of there. Matteo Guendouzi potentially is one of the players that could replace Declan Rice at West Ham. Now, I did my video, I think it was like 3 years ago or 2.5, when Arsenal were first thinking of letting Matteo Guendouzi go. I think initially he had gone out on loan to Marseille, and then they eventually signed him. And I said Guendouzi is a player that is very, very talented. Like, he's one of those midfielders that, for me, didn't work out at Arsenal. Was very slow and at times was, weak on the ball. But his vision is absolutely crazy. And if you want a central midfielder and you're West Ham and Matteo Guendouzi is available and you're going to sign a defensive midfielder, maybe Amrabat and Guendouzi, maybe, just maybe, right? Because I think Edson Alvarez is out of the league of West Ham, sorry to say, but Edson Alvarez is a Champions League player and should be joining Borussia Dortmund. But what I'm trying to say here, guys, is that Guendouzi for 25 million is such a very good move for West Ham. Very, very good move. And many people will look at it as more of a non-like-to-like replacement because we are talking about Declan Rice, huge, tall, muscular, most tackles in the Premier League, most ball recoveries in the Premier League, most successful dribbles again. But I think Guendouzi is a West Ham player. I think Matteo Guendouzi is a West Ham player. Like if Arsenal could get around 10 million because they have a sell-on clause, that's not what is even important. It is important because Arsenal would get some money back from his, sell. But Guendouzi back to the Premier League for West Ham. Guendouzi, Paqueta, Thomas Susek, and probably Rafi, Palhinha or Sofian Amrabat or Onana. I mean, that would be really interesting to see how West Ham could set up with all that talent next season. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I overhyped him a little bit, but he's still a very good player. Milinkovic-Savic is going to be joining Juventus. Arsenal had put him on the short list if Declan Rice didn't sign. Milinkovic-Savic is one of the guys that we could have signed. The big captain at Lazio. Is finally leaving Lazio, and it's a player that we've been linked with since 2019. He's been linked with Manchester United as well since 2019, and finally he's gonna make his move from Lazio. He's one of those where I felt like he was never gonna go away from Lazio. You know those players that are destined for one club, like they're destined to be there. The likes of Totti, right? I just kind of feel like Milinkovic-Savic is a Premier League player. Like, I know, right? There is a lot of hype, but he's a Premier League player. Like, he's a Premier League. If West Ham could go and get Milinkovic-Savic, like, that would be massive. But Juventus will take him. Of course, we know they always take the talents that are in the Italian Serie A. See you soon.